The massive Imperial scout ship emerged from hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system, its dark hull absorbing the distant sunlight. On board, Imperial Commander Ross studied the blue planet with growing interest. His orders were clear: assess and report. Another primitive world, his second-in-command muttered, studying the data streams. Though they've advanced quite rapidly in the last century. Ross nodded, his eyes fixed on the holographic display showing Earth's military capabilities, nuclear weapons, primitive space travel, and he paused, noting an unusual energy reading. Something else, something hidden. On Earth, deep within the Rocky Mountain Command Center, Admiral James Miller stared at the massive screen displaying the unknown vessel. Dozens of military personnel worked at their stations, monitoring the situation with practiced efficiency. "Sir, the object is approximately 3 times the size of our largest aircraft carrier," reported Lieutenant Davis from his console. "It's just sitting there at the edge of our solar system." Miller rubbed his temples. After 30 years in the military, he had prepared for many scenarios, but first contact wasn't one he had truly expected in his lifetime. Any attempts at communication? As if in response to his question, every screen in the command center flickered. A deep, resonating voice filled the room, speaking in perfect English. "People of Earth, this is Commander Ross of the Galactic Empire. Your world has been identified as a potential candidate for Imperial integration. Prepare for diplomatic contact." Miller straightened his uniform. "Get me the president, now. And contact every major military leader worldwide. We need a unified response." Within hours, the world's military and political leaders gathered virtually. The Chinese general spoke first, his voice tense. "They are positioning more ships. Our deep space monitoring stations have detected at least 12 vessels entering the solar system." The Russian president leaned forward in his screen. "We must show strength, unity. The Empire clearly expects us to submit without question." As they discussed strategy, another message arrived. The Imperial ship had launched a smaller vessel, heading directly for Earth. They requested landing clearance at a neutral location. Miller chose a remote military base in the Australian outback for the meeting. As the Imperial shuttle descended, its silver hull gleaming in the sunlight, he stood with representatives from 20 nations. Commander Ross emerged from his ship, surprisingly human-like in appearance, though his skin held a slight metallic sheen. "Admiral Miller," he said, extending his hand in a gesture that showed he had studied Earth's customs, "I bring greetings from the Empire." The meeting proceeded in a large hangar, converted into a makeshift conference room. Ross laid out the Empire's terms clearly. Earth could join willingly as a protectorate, receiving Imperial technology and protection, or face forceful integration. "We've monitored your world for some time," Ross explained, his tone almost gentle. "Your species has potential, but you're fractured, divided. The Empire brings unity, peace, progress." Miller listened carefully, noting the implied threat behind the diplomatic words. "And if we wish to remain independent." Ross's expression hardened slightly. "That would be unwise. The Empire spans thousands of star systems. We have brought civilization to countless worlds. Resistance would only bring unnecessary suffering." As the meeting concluded, Miller watched the Imperial shuttle depart. He turned to the Australian Prime Minister beside him. "They're not here to negotiate. This is an ultimatum." Back in the Rocky Mountain facility, Miller met with a select group of scientific and military advisors. "They've given us 1 Earth week to decide," he announced. "But I think we all know their terms are unacceptable." Dr. Thomas Walker, a quantum physicist who had been unusually quiet during the briefing, finally spoke up. "Admiral, there might be something they don't know about us. Something that could change the entire equation." Miller looked at the scientist curiously. "Explain." "Sir, I need to show you something. Something we've kept hidden, not just from the public, but from most of the government as well." Walker handed him a classified file. "Project Starbreaker." As Miller read the document, his eyes widened. For the first time since the Imperial ships appeared, a smile crossed his face. "Get me the President. I think we just found our answer to the Empire's ultimatum." The Empire had expected Earth to submit or fight conventionally. They were about to learn that humanity had developed something far more dangerous than they could imagine. Dr. Thomas Walker led Admiral Miller through a series of security checkpoints, descending deep beneath the Nevada desert. Each level required more complex verification, until they reached a massive blast door marked only with Project Starbreaker. "What you're about to see," Walker said, placing his hand on the final scanner, "is the result of 15 years of quantum research. We discovered it by accident while studying particle physics." The door opened with a heavy hiss, revealing a vast underground chamber. In its center, suspended within a complex array of machinery, floated a perfect sphere of absolute darkness. Miller stared at the object, feeling an instinctive urge to step back. "Is that what I think it is?" "A controlled micro-black hole," Walker confirmed, pride mixing with caution in his voice. "We can create and maintain them now. More importantly, we can deliver them anywhere in space." The next day, Miller presented the evidence to the world's leaders in a secure virtual conference. The reaction was immediate and intense. "A weapon that can destroy stars." The British Prime Minister's face had gone pale. "The implications are..." "Exactly what we need," the Indian president interrupted. "The Empire must understand we're not defenseless." Walker took control of the presentation, showing detailed scientific data. "We've conducted 3 tests in deep space, far from any inhabited systems. We can trigger stellar collapse with precision. The Empire's worlds would be vulnerable to a weapon they've never encountered." The Chinese general, who had been silent until now, spoke up. "We must demonstrate this capability. Show them that Earth isn't the primitive world they believe us to be." After hours of debate, a decision was reached. Earth would issue a warning, backed by proof of their power. In the Imperial flagship orbiting Mars, Commander Ross received an unexpected transmission request from Earth. The message was brief. "We request a demonstration meeting. There's something you need to see." Ross agreed, more out of curiosity than concern. This time, the meeting would take place in space, aboard a neutral station hastily constructed between Earth and Mars. Dr. Walker stood beside Admiral Miller as Commander Ross entered the station's conference room. Through the viewport, Earth hung like a blue jewel against the black of space. "We've considered your offer," Miller began, his voice steady. "And we have a response." "Dr. Walker." Walker activated a holographic display showing a distant star system. "This is the Proxima Centauri system. Uninhabited, but close enough to observe. We're going to show you why the Empire should reconsider its position." Ross watched with mild amusement. "You believe you have something that could concern the Empire." "We don't believe. We know." Walker pressed a sequence of commands into his tablet. "Watch the star." Millions of kilometers away, a small probe emerged from stealth mode near Proxima Centauri. It carried a payload developed in the depths of Project Starbreaker. The device activated, creating a microscopic black hole with precisely calculated properties. Through the station's advanced telescopes, they watched as the star began to behave strangely. Within minutes, its outer layers started to collapse inward. Ross's amusement vanished, replaced by growing horror as he understood what he was witnessing. "Impossible. Your civilization hasn't advanced enough for this technology. We've learned to create and control localized singularities," Walker explained, his voice calm. "We can deliver them to any star in any system. This is a small demonstration. The effect will stabilize, and Proxima Centauri will recover." Miller stepped forward. "Consider this our response to your ultimatum. Earth will remain independent. Any attempt at forced integration will result in the deployment of these devices across Imperial space." Ross stood rigid, his face unreadable. "The Empire has ruled for 10,000 years. We've never encountered a weapon like this." "Then perhaps it's time for the Empire to recognize that some civilizations are better left to develop on their own," Miller replied. "We don't want war, Commander. We want peace, as equals." Ross looked once more at the data showing the star's disruption. "I must report this to the Imperial Council. This changes everything." As Ross departed the station, Miller turned to Walker. "Will they back down?" "They have to," Walker replied. "We've just shown them that we can turn their own stars against them. The question is, what will they do with that knowledge?" The demonstration had worked, but they all knew this was just the beginning. The real challenge would be dealing with the Empire's response to this unexpected show of power from Earth. The Imperial High Council chamber buzzed with angry voices. Holographic displays showed the Proxima Centauri event from multiple angles, while Commander Ross stood at the center, delivering his report. "The humans possess technology we didn't believe possible for their development stage," Ross explained, his voice echoing in the vast chamber. "They can create controlled singularities and target stellar bodies with precision." High Counselor Peter, the eldest of the Imperial leadership, leaned forward on his floating platform. "This is unacceptable. They must be bluffing. No primitive world could develop such weapons without our knowledge." "We need absolute proof," another counselor demanded. "A more substantial demonstration, one that leaves no doubt of their capabilities." Back on Earth, Admiral Miller received the Empire's response in the war room. "They want us to prove it wasn't a trick," he announced to the assembled leaders. "They're demanding a larger demonstration." Dr. Walker studied the Imperial message on his tablet. They'd selected a binary star system on the edge of their territory. Both stars must be affected simultaneously. He looked up at Miller. "They're testing our precision and range." "Can we do it?" Miller asked. Walker nodded slowly. "Yes, but it's risky. We've never attempted to control two singularities at this distance before." The preparation took 3 days. In secret facilities around the world, teams of scientists worked around the clock, calculating trajectories and programming the delivery systems. 2 specialized probes were prepared, each carrying a refined version of the Starbreaker device. The demonstration was scheduled for what Earth called Day Zero. Representatives from both sides gathered on an Imperial observation post near the target system. Commander Ross stood with his scientific advisors, while Miller and Walker represented Earth. "The binary system is 60 light-years from Earth," Ross noted, his tone challenging. "Far beyond your normal reach." Walker smiled slightly. "Distance isn't as much of a barrier as you might think." He activated his control panel, and displays showed the 2 probes emerging from faster-than-light travel near their targets. The Imperial scientists watched intently as the probes moved into position. One of them, a tall woman with silvery skin, spoke quietly to Ross. "Sir, we're detecting quantum fluctuations. Whatever they're using, it's real." Walker initiated the sequence. First singularity deploying in 3, 2, 1. The larger star of the binary system shuddered. Its corona flickered as the microscopic black hole began its work. Before the Empire's observers could fully process what they were seeing, the second star began to show the same symptoms. "Both singularities are stable," Walker reported, monitoring the data streams. "Stars are responding exactly as calculated." The Imperial scientists scrambled to analyze the event. Their instruments confirmed what their eyes were telling them. Both stars were experiencing controlled gravitational collapse. "Enough," Ross commanded. "We've seen what we needed to see." Walker nodded and activated the failsafes. The probes retrieved their payloads, and slowly the stars began to stabilize. The demonstration had lasted less than an hour, but its impact would be permanent. The Imperial scientists huddled together, discussing the data in hushed tones. One broke away from the group to address Ross directly. "Commander, their technology is beyond anything we expected. The precision required to affect 2 stars simultaneously. At this distance." Ross raised his hand for silence. He turned to Miller and Walker. "You've made your point. The High Council will need to reconsider its position." "We hope they choose wisely," Miller replied. "Earth has no desire for war. but we will defend our independence." As they prepared to leave the observation post, Walker noticed one of the Imperial scientists still staring at the binary system's data. "Remarkable, isn't it?" he said. The scientist looked at him with a mix of fear and admiration. "You realize what this means. Your people have developed something that could reshape the galaxy." "We know," Walker answered. "That's why we hope it never has to be used again." The return journey to Earth was quiet. Miller watched the stars streak by through the ship's viewport. "Do you think they'll back down?" "They have to," Walker replied. "We've shown them we can strike at the heart of any star system in their empire. The question is, what else will this demonstration change?" The Empire had demanded proof. Earth had delivered it. Now the galaxy waited to see what would happen next. The Imperial High Council chamber had never been so divided. The massive circular room, with its towering crystal walls and floating platforms, echoed with heated arguments. Admiral Marcus, a respected veteran of the Empire's expansion wars, stood at the center. "We cannot ignore what we've witnessed. Earth possesses technology that could devastate our worlds. We must pursue diplomatic solutions." High Counselor Peter slammed his fist on his platform's control panel. "The Empire does not negotiate with primitive worlds. We've encountered thousands of civilizations, and none have ever forced us to reconsider our approach. None have ever possessed the ability to collapse our stars," Marcus countered. His holographic display showed the binary star demonstration. "This changes everything." In another part of Imperial space, Commander Ross met secretly with a group of scientists who had witnessed Earth's demonstration. They gathered in a secure research facility orbiting a gas giant. "The humans' technology is elegant," the lead scientist explained, displaying complex equations. "They've mastered quantum manipulation in ways we never considered. Their isolation from the Empire may have led them to develop along different technological paths." Ross studied the data. "Can we defend against it?" The scientist shook her head. "Not currently. They can target any star in our territory. Our standard shields and defenses weren't designed for this kind of weapon." Back in the High Council chamber, the debate continued. A younger counselor named Reed had taken the floor. "We should strike now, before they can develop their weapon further. Our fleet can overwhelm their defenses before they react." Admiral Marcus stepped forward again. "And risk them targeting our core worlds. One probe slipping through our defenses could devastate entire systems. We need to think beyond our traditional military doctrine." Unknown to the Council, Earth's intelligence networks had infiltrated deeper than anyone suspected. Hidden quantum receivers picked up every word of their debate, transmitting it back to the Rocky Mountain Command Center. Admiral Miller and his team listened intently. "The Empire's splitting into factions," he observed. "The hardliners want immediate action, but others are pushing for peace." Dr. Walker nodded, analyzing the Imperial scientific data they'd intercepted. "Their scientists are fascinated by our technology. Some are arguing that cooperation would be more valuable than conquest." In a bold move, Admiral Marcus requested permission to open unofficial diplomatic channels with Earth. The Council debated for hours before narrowly approving his request. The message reached Earth on a heavily encrypted channel. "Your demonstration has prompted significant discussion. There are those within the Empire who believe a new approach is necessary. We request a private dialogue." Miller brought the message to the Global Defense Council. "This could be our chance to prevent conflict, but it could also be a trap." The Indian president spoke up. "We should engage with them. Show them we're willing to talk, but maintain our defensive posture." "Agreed," the Chinese general added. "But we must keep our Starbreaker probes ready. Trust must be earned." As these discussions continued, Imperial society itself began to shift. News of Earth's capabilities had leaked despite the Council's efforts at secrecy. Questions arose about the Empire's traditional approach to expanding its territory. A group of Imperial scientists, led by those who had witnessed the demonstration, publicly called for a review of the Empire's policies toward developing civilizations. Their paper, which spread rapidly through Imperial networks, suggested that other worlds might have developed technologies unknown to the Empire. High Counselor Peter and his allies responded by demanding loyalty to traditional Imperial methods. But their voices seemed less certain now, their arguments less convincing in the face of Earth's demonstrated power. Admiral Marcus prepared for his secret meeting with Earth's representatives. Before leaving, he received a message from a growing coalition of Imperial military leaders. The old ways are changing. Don't let the hardliners push us into a war we can't win. The Empire stood at a crossroads. For the first time in its long history, it faced a choice between its traditional path of conquest and the uncertainty of true diplomatic engagement. As Miller reviewed the latest intelligence reports, he mused to Walker, "We haven't just shown them our strength. We forced them to question their entire way of life." "Sometimes," Walker replied, "the most powerful weapon isn't the one you use, but the one you force others to think about." Deep space sensors detected the Imperial battle fleet first. Hundreds of warships emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the solar system, their massive forms blocking out the distant stars. Despite the ongoing diplomatic talks, the Empire's hardliners had made their move. In the Rocky Mountain Command Center, Admiral Miller watched the tactical display with growing concern. "They're positioning themselves in a standard attack formation," he noted, "but they're staying just outside our defensive perimeter." Dr. Walker studied the data streams from their quantum sensors. "We're detecting unusual energy signatures. They'd developed some kind of new shielding technology." The Empire's show of force prompted immediate action on Earth. Military forces worldwide went to high alert. Hidden bunkers activated, and Starbreaker probes moved into predetermined positions throughout nearby space. High Counselor Peter's hologram appeared in command centers across Earth. "Your weapons are impressive, but the Empire cannot allow a single world to threaten our dominion. Surrender now, and we will be merciful." Miller's response was calm but firm. "We have 50 Starbreaker probes targeting critical Imperial systems. Any aggressive action will trigger an automatic response." In orbit around Mars, Admiral Marcus watched the confrontation with growing alarm. His diplomatic mission had failed to prevent the hardliners from acting. Now he faced a choice between loyalty to the Empire and preventing a catastrophic war. "The humans have prepared well," his tactical officer reported. "Our scanners detect their probe network. They can strike multiple systems simultaneously." Marcus opened a secure channel to Earth. "Admiral Miller, the fleet acts without full Council authorization. Many of us still believe in finding a peaceful solution." The tension grew as more Imperial ships arrived. The fleet now numbered over 1,000 vessels, the largest deployment in recent Imperial history. Yet they made no aggressive moves, creating a standoff that stretched for days. In his private command chamber, High Counselor Peter received troubling news. Several key Imperial worlds had begun evacuating their populations, fearing Earth's stellar weapons. The Empire's carefully maintained image of invincibility was cracking. Dr. Walker worked with his team to monitor the Imperial fleet's activities. "They're testing various shield configurations," he reported to Miller, "looking for a way to protect their ships from our quantum effects." "Can they succeed?" Miller asked. Walker shook his head. "Not against a targeted stellar collapse. Their shields might protect individual ships, but they can't shield entire star systems." The standoff entered its second week. Earth's defenses remained on high alert, but fear began to give way to a strange calm. The planet's populations adjusted to the sight of Imperial warships in their telescopes, going about their lives under the distant threat. In the Imperial fleet, tensions ran high. Young officers privately questioned the wisdom of attacking a world that could destroy their home systems. Veterans remembered past conquests and demanded action to maintain the Empire's reputation. Admiral Marcus made one final attempt at prevention. He transmitted proof to the High Council that several Council members had financial interests in companies that would profit from Earth's conquest. The resulting scandal further divided the Imperial leadership. On Earth, Miller received an unexpected message from Imperial scientists who had studied the Starbreaker technology. Your development path shows us that the Empire's assumption of technological superiority was flawed. We stand ready to oppose military action. The risk of civil conflict within the Empire grew. More worlds expressed support for diplomatic solutions, while hardcore Imperial loyalists demanded immediate action against Earth. High Counselor Peter faced a difficult reality. Even if his fleet could somehow neutralize Earth's defenses, the cost in Imperial worlds and systems would be devastating. The Empire had never faced an opponent who could strike directly at the hearts of their stars. Dr. Walker's team detected something interesting in their quantum scans. The Imperial ships are maintaining position, but their energy signatures are fluctuating. They're having trouble maintaining their battle formation. Miller understood the implications. Their crews are losing confidence. No one wants to be part of a suicide mission. The greatest battle in Earth's history was being fought not with weapons, but with the fear of weapons. Humanity's warning had created a psychological barrier that even the mighty Imperial fleet hesitated to cross. As another day of tension began, Miller received a priority message from Admiral Marcus. The High Council is calling an emergency session. Change is coming. The Imperial High Council chamber erupted in chaos as Admiral Marcus presented his evidence. Holographic displays showed dozens of worlds in open rebellion against the Hardliners' war plans. The Empire faces its greatest crisis, Marcus declared. Not from Earth's weapons, but from our own inability to adapt. High Counselor Peter stood atop his platform, his face dark with rage. This is treason. The Empire has ruled through strength for 10,000 years. And perhaps that time has passed. A new voice rang out. The Imperial Chief Scientist stepped forward, her silver robes gleaming. We've confirmed Earth's stellar manipulation technology. More importantly, we've discovered they possess other advancements unknown to us. On Earth, Admiral Miller and Dr. Walker monitored the Council session through their quantum surveillance network. The power struggle within the Empire was reaching its climax. 3 more Imperial fleets have withdrawn from their positions, Lieutenant Davis reported. They're declaring loyalty to Admiral Marcus's faction. Walker studied the sensor readings. The main fleet is breaking formation. Look, their ships are starting to separate into distinct groups. In the Council chamber, more leaders stepped forward to support Marcus. The Empire's top researchers presented data showing how Earth's isolation had led to unique technological developments. Their path of advancement differs from ours, the chief scientist explained. While we expanded outward, they focused inward. Their discoveries could revolutionize our understanding of physics. High Counselor Peter made his final stand. I have ruled this council for 3 centuries. I will not watch the Empire bow to primitives. He pressed a hidden control, and loyal guards moved to arrest Marcus. But they stopped as dozens of holograms appeared, Imperial world leaders declaring their support for peace. The Empire must evolve, Marcus stated firmly. Earth has shown us that there are different paths to power, different ways to advance. Peter looked around the chamber, seeing his support crumbling. Even his most loyal allies were stepping back, unwilling to risk their worlds in a war they might not win. In orbit around Earth, the Imperial fleet continued to split. Ships loyal to the old guard maintained their aggressive stance, while those supporting Marcus moved to neutral positions. Dr. Walker's quantum sensors detected a surge of energy. They're powering weapons. The Hardliners are going to attack. But before they could fire, their own allies turned against them. Ships loyal to Marcus moved to block their weapons. The potential civil war had reached its tipping point. The High Council chamber fell silent as Peter realized his defeat. Centuries of tradition and power crumbled in a matter of hours. I will not surrender to this madness, he declared, pressing another hidden button. His platform began to glow with energy. Marcus recognized the signs of a quantum suicide device. Peter, don't. The explosion rocked the chamber, but the automated shields contained it. The Empire's most powerful hardliner had chosen death over change. On Earth, Miller received urgent communications from both Marcus and the remaining council members. They're requesting an immediate conference. The Empire is ready to negotiate. The next few hours saw rapid changes. The Imperial fleet regrouped under Marcus's command, moving to non-threatening positions. Earth maintained its defensive stance, but powered down some of its Starbreaker probes as a show of good faith. Dr. Walker prepared for the upcoming negotiations. We should show them more of our technology, not the weapons, but our advances in quantum physics, space travel, and energy production. Miller nodded. The Empire needs to see that cooperation can be more valuable than conquest. In the council chamber, now under Marcus's leadership, the remaining members voted unanimously to open full diplomatic relations with Earth. The decision marked the first time in Imperial history that a world had forced them to change their approach. We stand at a crossroads, Marcus announced to both his people and Earth. The Empire has always evolved by absorbing others. Now we must learn to grow by working together as equals. As the message reached Earth, Miller turned to Walker. Do you think they'll honor this? Walker smiled. They have to. We've shown them that the old ways of thinking about power and control are obsolete. The universe is more complex than they imagined. The Empire's decision was made. Now came the harder task, building trust between two civilizations that had come so close to war. 1 year after the Empire's historic decision, Earth's skyline had changed dramatically. Imperial ships now peacefully shared orbit with human vessels, their crews working together on joint projects. In the newly constructed Global Cooperation Center, Admiral Miller walked with Admiral Marcus through the busy halls. Scientists from both civilizations hurried past, sharing ideas and discoveries. Your people have adapted well to the changes, Miller observed, watching an Imperial engineer excitedly discuss quantum theory with Dr. Walker's team. Marcus nodded. The Empire needed this change. Though few would admit it, stagnation was our greatest enemy, not Earth's weapons. In orbit, massive construction projects marked the beginning of Earth's first faster-than-light shipyard. Imperial technology merged with human innovation, creating vessels that could explore the galaxy in new ways. Dr. Walker led the Joint Research Initiative, combining Earth's unique approach to quantum physics with the Empire's vast knowledge of space travel. We've already made breakthroughs that neither civilization could have achieved alone, he reported during the monthly progress meeting. The Imperial Council, now reformed under new leadership, had undergone dramatic changes. Representatives from Earth sat among them, their voices carrying equal weight in discussions about galactic policy. The old empire is gone, Marcus told his officers. In its place, we're building something stronger. A coalition of worlds where different paths of advancement are celebrated, not suppressed. Earth's influence spread beyond technology. Other worlds within the empire began demanding more independence, inspired by humanity's stand. Instead of fighting these changes, the new council embraced them. We're seeing a renaissance across imperial space, the chief scientist reported. Worlds that once hid their discoveries now share them openly. The exchange of ideas has accelerated technological progress beyond our predictions. The Starbreaker project, which had brought Earth and the Empire to the brink of war, evolved into something new. Under strict international control, the technology was adapted for peaceful purposes, stabilizing dying stars and studying cosmic phenomena. Miller stood at the observation deck of the New Earth Space Command, watching ships from dozens of worlds move through the solar system. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if we hadn't developed the Starbreaker technology. The Empire would have absorbed Earth, Marcus replied honestly, and both our civilizations would be poorer for it. Earth's cities now featured imperial architecture alongside human designs. Cultural exchange programs brought people from across the galaxy to learn from each other. The feared invasion had transformed into a peaceful merger of civilizations. Dr. Walker's team made another breakthrough, combining imperial power systems with Earth's quantum manipulation techniques. We can now create stable wormholes, he announced to the Joint Council. Safe passage between any 2 points in space. The remnants of the old guard watched these changes with dismay, but their influence faded. The Empire's younger generations embraced the new era, seeing Earth not as a conquered world, but as an equal partner in galactic civilization. 1 year to the day after the Empire's decision, humanity launched its first joint-designed starship. The vessel combined the best of both worlds, Earth's innovative thinking with Imperial engineering expertise. This ship represents our future, Miller said at the launch ceremony, not as Empire and Earth, but as partners in exploration and discovery. Marcus agreed. The galaxy is vast, and there are more civilizations waiting to be found. This time, we'll approach them differently. The ship's name, displayed proudly on its hull, read New Dawn in both Earth and Imperial script. As it prepared for its maiden voyage, crews from both worlds worked together at their stations. Dr. Walker stood with Miller, watching the launch preparations. "We did more than save Earth," he said quietly. "We showed the galaxy a different way forward." The New Dawn lifted off, its revolutionary engines glowing with combined Earth and Imperial technology. As it accelerated toward the stars, it carried the hopes of 2 civilizations that had learned a crucial lesson. True strength comes not from conquest, but from cooperation. The warning we gave them, Miller mused, turned out to be a gift for everyone. Marcus smiled. Sometimes the best victories are the ones where everyone wins. Together, they watched the ship disappear into faster-than-light travel, carrying humanity's first joint mission into the unknown depths of space. The Galactic Empire had set its sights on Earth, but in doing so had found not a conquest, but a partner in building a better future.